Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to do a presentation on a point prevalence survey that we did at Gertrude's Children's Hospital in May 2022. So Gertrude's Children's Hospital is a 100-bed facility. We have an antimicrobial stewardship program that was established in 2014. The program is run by a multidisciplinary committee that's chaired by an infectious disease specialist. So the committee has representation from pathology, nursing, clinical areas, pharmacy. So our antimicrobial stewardship strategies, as demonstrated, there's a standard treatment guideline. This is where we formulate the standard treatment guideline and do follow-up audits on the implementation of the standards that are recommended. And then we also do prospective feedback audits on use of restricted antimicrobials in the inpatient setting. These restricted antimicrobials are broad-spectrum antimicrobials that we selected from the WHO aware categorization list, and we monitor if microbiological support and infectious disease recommendations are followed during their use. So we also do staff education where we sensitize healthcare professionals on the set guidelines, and we collaborate with other organizations in the implementation of our program in general. So we identified that there was a need to do more monitoring of antimicrobial use in the inpatient department, and that is what gave rise to the need to carry out a point prevalence survey. So we did data collection where we picked a set time on a particular date. In this case, 6 a.m. on the 13th of May, 2022. We pulled out the data of all admitted patients in our hospital electronic data system. So we excluded patients who are discharged and were waiting to go home. We excluded day cases. These are surgeries where you'll be discharged on the same day, and emergency cases. Now, after pulling out the data, we picked out the patients who are on antimicrobials, excluded the topical antimicrobials, and excluded antimicrobials that had been stopped before 6 a.m. and any prescribed after 6 a.m. We also delved more into the system and pulled out the microbiological findings and documented them. So our findings were, on that particular day, there were 5 open wards and 56 patients admitted who qualified. And then out of the 56 patients, 34 of them had antimicrobials prescribed. Out of the 34, there was a distribution of 52 antimicrobials. We checked parameters of prescribing. This is dose, frequency, and duration. It was indicated for all the prescriptions. And the indication of treatment, since our treatment chart had no provision for indication to be written, on the treatment chart we had 0% of indication documented, but on the multidisciplinary notes done by the doctor, we had 94% documentation. So we checked the route of administration. 75% of the antimicrobial prescribed were administered via the intravenous route, which is a quite high index because this will directly translate to longer hospital stays, and it's a more invasive way to give medication. We did aware categorization according to the WHO 2019 guideline, and WHO requires that 60% of antimicrobials prescribed in any facility should be accessed. Ours was at 49% access. 51% watch, and this can be attributed to ceftriaxone being a watch antibiotic in the aware categorization. So we classify the type of infections into hospital-acquired, community-acquired, and different kinds of prophylaxis. Okay. So majority of the infections were community-acquired. We had a number of hospital-acquired infections, mainly from referral cases from peripheral facilities. And then our culture results, we had 23 patients in whom culture samples were taken, and from the 23 cases, only 8 had growth, any form of growth, and 9 had no growth at all, and out of the 8 that had growth, we managed to isolate 2 cases of contamination. There was the Enterobacter and Klebsiella in urine, which on analysis we pulled out as contaminants. And then when we checked overall, compliance to guidelines, infectious disease specialist advice, and microbiological findings, our compliance rate was at 50%. And there was no isolated evidence of review of antimicrobials because the review by doctors done daily is general. It is not antibiotic specific. So from the data, we came up with the recommendations to our facility. Next. Which include formulation of policies to guide medical prophylaxis, intravenous to oral route switch of medication, and also selective reporting of microbiological results so that we can better streamline the areas of concern. We also are looking to establish antimicrobial ward rounds just for timely interventions, and are carrying out trainings on proper sample collection and rationale for ordering microbiological tests. So at this point, I'd like to acknowledge our Chief Pharmacist, Dr. Susan Mutua, our infectious disease specialist, Dr. Joseph Mbudia, and Katha Gitonga from the USAID MTAPS program, who are key in the data collection and analysis. Thank you very much.